You can take all the risk in your 20s, all the risk, because if you fail, you have the rest of your life to make up for it. In the 30s too, failing means that you're trying something and then you're getting a data point. Success is just accumulation of a series of a long time of that. Those female founders, we're told so many lies. I was like, let's call bullshit.
You had $1 billion exit.
Yeah, I did. 10 years later, so it wasn't like an overnight success.
You started the business with like 50K or something,
Yeah,
right?
no money in my bank account. I didn't go to CEO school. I didn't know how to raise venture capital. I was pregnant, fundraising. I quit my job. Like, okay, I have 6 months, and if I can get this off the ground, great. I clearly got it off the ground, but it was
You
not.
definitely got it off.
I got it off the ground. I always say that there is no such thing as a $1 billion idea, only a $1 billion execution.
Hey, business besties, welcome back to Female Found World. I'm Jasmine, I'm the host of the show, and today I'm chatting with Suneera Madhani. She is the founder and CEO of Worth AI. She was the previous CEO and she's the founder of Stax Payments, and she's the person behind CEO School. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jasmine, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. What a great conference yesterday.
Oh, thank you. I mean, wild. Like, I feel like I need to sit and process of everything that happened. And you were such an amazing speaker. We loved having you as the keynote.
Thank you.
It was
So
incredible.
fun. I loved your audience. I was like, I don't know, what do we I called bullshit. That was so fun with the
I was
audience.
hearing that.
I
Yeah.
know. I was like, I had 20 minutes. I was like, what am I going to talk about? It's like lessons to building $1 billion business. But I was like, instead of the lessons, I was like, let's call because those female founders, we're
Mhm.
told so many lies. I was like, let's call bullshit. And the audience was just giving me all the energy.
I love that. And that's why I wanted to talk to you, because I've seen you speak on your own podcast to your own community about the very honest side of
Yeah.
building a company, and not just building a company, building a big company. You had $1 billion exit.
Yeah, I did.
Wild. And then you thought, hey, I'm going to do this again.
Oh my God, did I did not wanna do it again. I have a crazy brother who's incredible, and he's like, "Let's do it again." No, but I think once an entrepreneur, you're always an entrepreneur, but it was a wild ride. I started the company so young at the age of 25. I had no money in my bank account. I didn't go to CEO school. I didn't have a fancy degree or venture capital or the connections, and I happened to be in the payment space and saw like a very clear need for something that was different, but I had no desire to be an entrepreneur. So it happened and I went for it. And then 10 years later, so it wasn't like an overnight success, but we took that idea from just that, subscription and payments. It was zero to, 40 billion in payments on our platform. So it was an incredible journey.
And some other milestones there as well. You were doing 160 million in
And
recurring
yeah,
revenue.
in revenue, yeah, when we exited.
Wow.
Yeah, so it wasn't like a fictitious, like, here's this like, blown in valuation. Like it was true revenue multiples. I didn't know how to raise venture capital. I was pregnant, fundraising,
Yeah.
venture capital. Like the whole thing, the whole entrepreneurial journey was new to me. Also just being in the boys club and in the fintech space, it was completely wild. But, here I am, like we did the thing and, you put one foot in front of the other and you figure it out. You don't have to go to CEO school. That's why I'm so passionate about, believing in yourself and women just truly building big businesses as well. I didn't know I could go build $1 million business, let alone $1 billion one.
Yeah.
And I wish I knew what was possible. And so I love to share my story and share stories of women building because I think it's so important for us as female founders to hear.
I really want to focus this conversation on like how to think really big.
Yeah, let's do it.
And we talk to founders with all different like aspirations and goals and backgrounds, but like you have done something incredible and big, and that most people will never do in their lives, but so many want to. And so I want to focus this
Yeah.
conversation on like specifically, like, let's just think bigger. And how did you do that? I'm going to go through your origin story in a second,
Yeah.
but I want to like talk about something that you just mentioned, which is, building a big business. And how does somebody know that their opportunity in the space that they're building is a $1 billion opportunity versus $1 million opportunity,
Oh,
so that they
good
can just
question.
make the decision about where to focus their time?
I think that if you're starting a business, you need to go ensure that your market space is $1 billion opportunity.
Mm,
Whether you decide to make it, $100 million or $10 million or $1 million or $1 billion, it is important for you to go get a large addressable market. I think that that is like, there's so much opportunity. So I do think that your total, it's called your TAM. Your TAM should be really large. Like, why not? Like, why not you that can go do it? I think as women, we almost stop ourselves. And I love that this conversation is going to be about building big. My newsletter is actually called Big Business Energy.
love it.
And I love talking about building big businesses. Like, why not you? Like, why are we shooting for just the $1,000,000 or the 7-figure or just the 8-figure milestone? Like, uncap yourself. It is possible. It's possible for him, so why is it not possible for you?
Yes, I love this. Let's go back to the early
Yeah.
days of, starting Stax Payments. What was it, 2010? When did you start?
I started in, yeah, 2013 was our official, like, kickoff of the company. I quit my job in 2013, and then 6 months later in 2014, I was registered with Visa Mastercard, which was, like, another like, where do I go find Mr. Visa? I don't even know. I was young, and I will say, like, if I look back, like, there was a lot of things that had to go right. A lot of hustle, a lot of, like, all the work and the opportunities, and then, like, putting myself forward and, like, taking action. But also, I think there's, like, a little bit of, like, the karmic stars have to, like, just align. So I can't just, like hard work is it, but you need a little bit of, like, some things going
Mm.
right, and we just happened to have things like we were just focused, relentless, and, like, watching every little, like, move, and so we were, like, taking our shots, and it was working.
What was the opportunity that you saw back in the beginning?
Yeah, so we launched the first subscription-based credit card processing platform. So payments was it's very commoditized, and at that time, like, Stripe and Square and others, like, weren't in the market. They were, like, building they were there, but they had, not a lot of traction, and there was a space where you needed I don't wanna get too technical on the show, but it was card present transactions, so, like, in-person payments. Square did a really great job, and then Stripe was solving for back-end transactions, so card not present. So card present, card not
Mhm.
present, and there was this, like, white space. I was like, "Who's solving for the dentist who needs to, like, take a transaction in person and then also send an invoice online?" So nobody was tackling at that space for that piece of software. So we built that first API that did card present and card not present, and so we took over that space, and it was really awesome technology. It was really innovative. And then our pricing model was really unique. And we were, instead of it being percentage based, it was a flat monthly subscription. And then you were like capped at how much you could transact, but you could transact whatever your subscription allowed. And so it was really cost saving for business owners. And so we had a better way, we had a more economical way, and it was very transparent and like a better technology for that vertical and use case. And so we owned that market. We also were at a time in 2013 where, um, in the financial ecosystem or like how payments were sold was directly through like your bank or you walked in to go get your like a payment terminal, like a physical device, or you signed up with like Bank of America or like your Chase like business credit or whatever it was. But we decided to go online, almost like direct to consumer, but direct to the businesses. And so we saw an opportunity in the digital space in 2013 to cut out like all of the middlemen and just go find our customer directly online. And so that's how the company got started. And my background, I went to University of Florida. I had a degree in finance and marketing, but I did finance because I'm an overachiever, but I loved marketing. And I was like, we need to go online. And I put my first like $500 in and like Google Ads, and like somebody called and the phone rang, and I sold them like a product, and I like it didn't even exist. And I was like, okay, this is the way. And I think yesterday I was sharing like you've got to throw spaghetti at the wall and you've got to be different. And being different was our superpower at the time. Our company name was called Fat Merchant. I'm,
Mhm.
like, embarrassed to say it was FATT, and it was, like, an acronym, Fast Affordable Transaction Technology. We've grown so much, we grew so much. I changed the name in 2020, but, I mean, Fat Merchant was unique, it was different. We were, like that was a $100,000,000 company, it wasn't the billion-dollar company, but we put we built it, we did it, we our first year at the end of that year, we did 5,000,000 in payments through, like, our ecosystem. I was literally driving my Volkswagen Beetle, showing up to retailers being like, "You need to use, like, our terminals instead of this one," and it was, like, white label technology. I'm not a software developer.
Talk to me about that
Yeah,
because, like, I can understand as you're talking, I can understand the marketing piece and the engine
yeah,
behind growing it. We're gonna 100% talk about that. But, like, what I don't understand is you've got a finance background, you've got a marketing
yeah.
background. How the hell do you build a tech company in the financial industry, which is you cannot mess that up?
You cannot mess it up. You find really smart co-founders.
Mm.
Like, you cannot do it alone. And so my I have 2 co-founders. My brother ended up, coming on board very quickly, and him and I were definitely on the sales operate like, he was on sales and operations, product, and then I was on the marketing side and, just, getting like I knew this industry because I was working for a payment processor, but we needed a technical co-founder, and so we went to a local tech accelerator, and we're like, where are the technical people at?" And so that's how I ended up meeting my partner, Jacques, and he was exiting his 2nd company, and, again, like, a little bit of luck, a lot of convincing, and you start building a team, like, building your core founding team is so important, and I think as women, we feel like we have to do it alone. We don't have to do it alone. And yeah, there's benefits of like doing it alone and making decisions in that way and having full ownership, but building big require there's like it's so nice that I get to share that pressure with somebody else. Like you're
Yes.
going through the shit with me at the same time.
Yes.
Mentally, it's so helpful. Like just having a partner is so helpful. It's also challenging in its own ways, but if you can learn to figure out and play with where your strengths are and everybody stay in their lanes and like you can just go so fast. And so the 3 of us together are just like really unstoppable and like very, unique in our expertise. And we hit go and that, from 5 million in payments, 5 years later was 5 billion. And then
Wow.
another 5 years later, which was 10 years, we're at 40 billion in payments. And
Wow.
we owned professional services, we owned retail healthcare, like we own these verticals and we white labeled, like, we powered so many networks.
Talk to me what
Yeah,
so first of all, like,
yeah.
what is white labeling?
Okay. So white labeling, and this is where, it's like where your brand so, like, your brand is not the, visible one, but
Mhm.
other people are using your technology or your product and putting a label on your product. So, we were powering a lot of really cool softwares. So, for example, what's one? Pet Desk. It was like a it's not a, co-working space for dogs. It was like a veterinarian software.
Yep.
Okay, so similar in that healthcare space, they had a software and they created the best operating software for all vets. Instead of using Stripe was what they were using, they white labeled Stax as a solution in their platform. They were getting rev share. We customed a little bit of our software to fit Pet Desk software. And then I was like Pet Desk Payments instead of Stripe. And so we became this really awesome white label back end engine so that people can have their brands forward, customize the payment flow against and not for everyone, the verticals that we were serving. And so we could then go to Pet Desk, we can go to the next one, we can go to the next one, we can go. And so that's white labeling. And in 2017, so we were direct to businesses for so long. And then enterprise is like really where like we grew really fast. And what's cool about white labeling, it was like one to many. So I could hit so much more from a partnership model than me acquiring one customer at a time. Although we were very large, we were 40,000 small businesses that were direct with us. It was a really cool playbook, and I didn't know this playbook. Like, I love to share these are ways that we build big businesses.
Mhm.
You don't have to do it alone. You could do it through partnership. You could do it through collaboration. Like, imagine a world where and as female founders, like, we are such collaborative creatures. Like, why are we not leveraging that more? And that's something that I talk about so much at CEO school is like, how can we actually come together? There's enough to go around for all of us.
I wanna talk, like, a little bit more about, white labeling and this strategy because I think it is really interesting. It's like this way that you've been able to leverage the technology that you've
Yeah.
built to get more out of it.
One to many.
Yeah,
And
so
every model has it.
yeah, okay, talk to me about that then.
Yeah, every model has it. Whether you are in consumer products, whether you're in service-based products, like you can find a one to many model. So I'm thinking of like one of our members, she has a yoga certification. And she's a service based. She like teaches yoga training and certifies like these really heavy these instructors that are getting their second and the third like advanced degree. So she's been like the yogi expert for so long. Her name is Susanna Bakrati. I'm just gonna give her a little shout
Yeah.
out. She's one of our Millionaire Founders Club members. But her story comes to mind, and I don't think she'd mind me sharing it. She was certifying yoga instructors, and then she decided to go to the one to many and then now she's, working with corporations like Netflix and then doing their corporate wellness and still utilizing her expertise in that. But then how can she create, and she's a trainer and facilitator, utilizing that to white label one to many in corporate and like
Mhm.
for corporate wellness. So although it's still a little bit different, not exactly the perfect white label scenario, but one to many is still it's just so different, and there's so many models, like, you can apply one to many from collaborations, partnerships, like, I can we can find that model in every one of the businesses, and I think as women, we go down market easy. So we're, like, ready to be like the and I was the most cost-effective provider. That's the first thing that I did was we were the first, like, flat subscription. That's naturally where we go as women. Pricing, but why are we not going up market? Who are the enterprise customers that can also benefit? Because one large contract can then yield us so much more. So for my second fintech, I'm actually not, I wanted to do, we're still going to do it, but we're building a business credit score now. It's called Worth, and that was a problem that came from my last business. So we're just like always like, what's the problem that you see? Go solve that problem. One of the problems after onboarding 40,000 businesses was that there is no credit worth way to
Mm.
understand a business's financial credit worth quickly. We have our personal credit score, but why is it tied to our personal credit score? Why can't financial data be tied to the business?
Smart.
So simple,
Mhm.
but it doesn't exist. So we're like, okay, let's go solve for that. And I could solve for it one by one by deploying individual business credit scores. But instead, I'm like, let's go directly to all the banks. They have all the data, they have all the customers. So we're selling enterprise software to help them determine their small business's credit worth. So all the Staxes of the world, all the banks and the financial institutions, all the fintechs. And so for this model, I'm like, let's go straight to enterprise first, and then I'll go to or go to small business second, because I'll gain traction so much faster. So it's a different way of thinking about business, but I stumbled upon it a lot later in the first journey that I wish I knew separate. So hopefully that's helpful.
I love that. I think that's so helpful and something that you can apply for, like, to literally everything that you're doing. It's
Yes.
like, how can I leverage my time and this product and this skill set and that I've created and get the most out of it? That's really what it's
It
about.
is, it's called scalability,
Yeah.
right? Scalability, and that even applies for, every product. Like, even if you're a coach and you're doing like one-on-one is not gonna scale. How do you do the one to many, right? Like your master classes, you're like, how do I reach the one to
Mhm.
many? Everything has a one to many. Let's think about that first.
I wanna talk about those early years of Stax
Yeah.
Payments. You started the business with, like, 50K or something,
Yeah,
right?
nothing. Actually, even probably less than that. I was supposed to go get my MBA, or I quit my job, and then it was like, "Okay, I have 6 months, and if I can get this off the ground, great. If not, I'll go get my MBA." And I clearly got it off the ground, but it was
You
not
definitely got it off the
I got it off
ground,
the ground, but
Suneera.
it was not easy. Like, I don't even know. Like, I look back and it's like all a blur. And I think that one of my best things was like the naivete of being a first time founder. Like, now I know everything that's like coming in front of me, and I kind of wish I didn't.
Mhm.
I love that you can just go try things and be comfortable and like taking risks and taking bets. And I think being young, I think one of the things you were telling me about your audience is, where you're at and like in your age, and take the risks now. Like,
Mm.
you can take all the risk in your 20s, all the risk, because if you fail, you have the rest of your life to make up for it.
Yeah.
Like,
In your 30s, guys.
in the
Like,
30s
yeah.
too. Like, you have so much, like, the time is on your side
Yeah.
of risk taking as early as you can get it. So take risks and
Yes.
you could take bigger risk. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And so I love to swing. I think I grew up with immigrant parents, and my parents were entrepreneurial out of necessity, so they owned like small businesses and convenience stores, and they didn't get an opportunity to have an education because they immigrated to the country so young. And but they took risk. Like, the biggest risk that you can take is like leaving your country to go like live somewhere else, and
Mm.
then solving for, like, I just love the ability of like my parents to figure it out. And I'm so grateful that I got to grow up around that. And that's something that me and my husband are so mindful for in front of our daughters. Like, I want them to take risks. I don't want them to get comfortable. I want them to fail. I want to celebrate
Yeah.
failing and trying. And I grew up in a house like that. And so I do feel like I'm naturally wired to take risks. For my 17th birthday, my dad took me to Atlantic City and he taught me how to play blackjack, like, on the blackjack table. Like, it's such a weird, like, our stories are so weird as a family, but I'm so grateful for them. But take risks, that's what's really important, especially at that early part of your entrepreneurial journey, because then it becomes like you have to get a little bit more calculated, because now you have customers or now you have
Yes.
investors. Like, you can't do
You've also
those
got more to
things.
lose, don't
You
you?
have way more to lose. So figure like, do it in the early like, try the idea.
Yeah.
Like, every month, like, in our marketing budget, I would put it wasn't much, it was, like, 2 grand or 3 grand I would put, like, as, like, an experiential thing. And this is before, like, now we have social media that you could try so much cool stuff, and it doesn't even matter if it, like you could try the next thing, like, we would put money in our budget to be like, "Go try something."
Mm.
And, like, whatever the thing was, I think it's so important for you to have some experiment and, like, have fun.
I came across the other day, someone on LinkedIn who I've been following now, and she works for, oh my god, what's his name? The CEO podcast guy, Diary of a CEO. She works for
Oh, yeah,
him.
Steven Bartlett.
Yes, and her title is the head of failure and
Oh,
experimentation.
cool.
I was like, that is such a cool title,
Yeah,
and
that
like,
is
what an
cool.
intentional thing to like
Yeah.
build into your business.
Yeah, I think we should all be celebrating like, failing means that we're trying something and then you're getting a sorry, I'll say that again. Failing means that you're trying something and then you're getting a data point. So then you actually like, then you get to use that again to make the next part of it better. So if you accumulate, like, people are like, "How," like, "what are the biggest lessons in, like, ho building the billion-dollar company?" It's like, honestly, if you look at every successful founder on the other side that's exited, they didn't quit, like, they just kept, like,
Yeah.
it didn't work, and then they kept going, and then they used the information that they had to, like, do it better, to pivot, to try the next thing, and success is just accumulation of a series of a long time of that. Like, that's what that is.
You talked about, getting those enterprise clients, but I want to know what some of the specific things that you did at Stax Payments. Like, what were you doing to get those customers? What was the marketing engine? What was fueling the business?
At that time, so you have to kinda be ahead from a market. I'm a huge believer in go-to-market strategy, and you have to be ahead. Like, right now and it's changed so much, so, whatever strategy I'm gonna give you at that time was, SEO was, like and now these things aren't relevant anymore, but in 2013, like, who's writing about payment processing? Like,
Mm.
payment processing wasn't sexy. It wasn't, like, digital online. Businesses weren't searching for keywords on it, so we started to own this space on like we were the first blog about like how to like use your terminal and how to read your credit card processing bill. It wasn't had to do with like exactly our solution, but we were educating, providing value to our end customer about our industry. And so we were like that was like a marketing opportunity for us that we saw early. Ads at that time, like Google was, an open engine. A lot of the banks and etcetera, they weren't spending dollars online to acquire customers. There was like 43 million small businesses, like, that you can go target. And so we were looking at they weren't gonna search for, like, credit card processor, but, like, what were adjacent things that they were looking for? And so ads was a strategy of ours, which I don't recommend now. Like if I'm redoing like in like second phase, like it's just not what like organic is the I wish I started an organic engine. We did have a great organic engine, which was like the SEO and the blogs, etc. But at that time, we were disruptive in our own marketing go to market. And so as you're thinking about your business today, like, I believe, like, I mean, you have to have, like, social media is, like, par stakes. So that's, like, the now par of, like, your SEO, your search terms, like,
Mhm.
all of this stuff that was 2013, now that's social. But what are the ways that you can innovate and be like, "Ooh, I see what's coming, and I'm gonna own that," because you have wide open opportunity that maybe your competitor's not seeing, and you can go after that. But what really helps also is when you're marketing to a niche or you're marketing to your customers so well.
Mhm.
That's so important because you can't market to everyone. And I think a lot of founders in the early stage are like, "Well, my product can do this for this person, my product," and I serve women. That's too broad.
Yeah.
Like, are you serving women age 19 to 25? Are they living in New York?
What's
Like,
their
what
specific
yeah,
point of view on this thing? Like,
yeah.
it's so, personal.
It is, but those are brands that win. They know that customer, and then
Yeah.
when you have that customer, then you can go find the channels that she is viewing, reviewing, or where she's at, and then we can expand. Of course, we can expand our verticals, like, once you nail it, but to get that initial that 1 to 10 million, you gotta go own that vertical really well.
What you were saying about SEO before reminds me of Canva's origin story because I remember hearing something. So when Canva was starting, they also had a kind of like SEO strategy around it,
Mhm.
and they were creating like just blog articles about the sizing for different social media posts.
Yeah.
So people would Google like what is the rate, like what are the dimensions, the aspect ratio for an Instagram post,
Yeah.
and Canva would come up, and then
Yeah.
they would end up using Canva, and that's one of the things that they did to grow.
It's giving value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the you talked about now social media and content is kind of like the table stakes that maybe SEO used to be that. Um, what do you think is next when you think about, okay, where is this marketing landscape going over the next 5 years, or what
Yeah.
things can we be experimenting in now?
I think it depends on your vertical, but I do think that people are buying more and more from people. And
Yes.
so I think that we know when we're being sold to. I think that we're becoming smarter as like consumers from an advertising lens. Even influencer marketing is starting to shape different. I think that user generated content and true like referral, word of mouth, like the best way I learn about products is through conversation or what
Mhm.
my friends using and through actually like um people that I admire and follow, and if I see it on them and I'm like, "Oh, I see how she's using it," not just like, "Here, buy this, click this, do this."
Yes.
I think the story behind the brands, I think those things have been important for quite some time since social, but I think that user level content, if that makes sense, and how brands can connect with actual users, not just like influencers who are gonna sell the product. So I think that there's a big shift that's gonna happen with how the younger generation is gonna buy products, and I think capturing attention is really hard. I mean, products and services, like, now we're, like, so saturated, like, there's a million like, everything that you can think of, there's, like, 30, 50 other companies that are doing exactly that. So how do you really stand out in that crowded space is by, like, being different, and so I do think you still have to be I love building boldly and unapologetically, like, all our brands have always been really even in financial services, they're really boring brands. Stax was sexy still, we were, like, really innovative in our marketing, and Worth is, it's just bold and it's fun, and, CEO School, like, I love building brands, like, that are unique and memorable. I think that that's still important.
Now you're very like forward facing. You've got a pretty big community on
Yeah.
social. You have the podcast. Were you like that while you were building Stacks, or were you more behind the scenes?
No, I was so like that. I've, like, always been like that. I was like that's how I ended up like, the capital raising, right? So how did I raise venture capital? I didn't have enough money. We I started to get customers, and I was showing up at pitch competitions. So, like, my first take at, like, grabbing a stage at a coffee shop, at, like, tech meetups, I was like, throw on a sticker. So I'd wear, like, my Fat Merchant t-shirt. I had these, like, stickers that I would, like, throw on everywhere I went, little Fat Merchant piggy, and I'd, like, show up, and you were like, I didn't even need a mic, and I was like, "Let me tell you why this is going to be, like, the next thing in fintech or in payments." And I got comfortable being so uncomfortable, being like people are like, what is she doing?" Like, I pitched everywhere. I was rejected more times than I can count, like, and I was like, "Okay," like, I don't know why it didn't phase me. Like, rejection phases me so much harder now as I'm older, but I don't know. I was, like, fearless when it came to, like, showing up to these things, and I took home my first, business plan check. It was the National Association, it was of Women Business Owners. It was a $20,000 check, and it was, like, one of those, like, big giant ones, and I just, like, knew in that moment, I was like, "Okay, this idea is, like I'm like, this needs to, like we need to, like, press the gas," and I took all of that money and put it, like, straight into, like, customer acquisition right away. And then I went and I found every venture plan competition that I could find up and down the state of, like, Florida, Atlanta, like, any Southeast place that I could, like, put my name in. I ended up taking home over 200,000 in prize wins.
Wow.
And that was, like, our first year of the company, and that's how I ended up meeting my first investor was because it was at a venture competition. I don't think I would have even gotten a meeting with them or, like, they would have taken me seriously, but they had to because I won fucking first place. So that was my face, that was my name, and their check it came with, like, a venture meeting and, like, it was part of, like it was, like, 25K in, cash and then 25K in investment,
Yeah.
and that's how I got my first investor, was it was
Wow.
kind of forced because I was like, "I'm gonna be in your face, and I'm gonna win this stuff, and then you have to pay attention to me."
What advice do you have for someone who wants to win competitions like this?
God, I don't even know if they I think they still exist. I think it's so valuable to go share your product, like, as many places as you can.
Mm.
And so don't hide behind it, like, go if you have a consumer packaged product, like go to the stores and like go, why can't like you share samples of your product and get user feedback on the product? And that was something that was so important. I like installed every payment terminal, the first like 200 customers. I would call the customers, I would go check in on them. Like they had my cell phone. If anything was not right, like I knew about it. So when you're building a company and you're really passionate about your product and then you're paying attention to how the customer is using it, what are the features or like those SKUs maybe that they're like obsessed with more than the others, get rid of the other stuff. Like we hold on to things, like listen to your customer is like very generic startup advice, but go do that and talk about your product and service. So get on stages, podcasts. Like now there's social media is so cool because you get to like have earned media all day long. We didn't have that. Like
Yeah.
we had to like fight to get space with like when you got an opportunity, when you got to sit on a panel, when you were accepted into the rooms. But now you can pull up your phone right now and go connect with your like this is the best time to start a
I
business.
love that. That's
Yeah.
yeah, that is very inspiring to hear because I think a lot of people also think, there is so much more opportunity. You do have all of these tools at your fingertips, but then it also feels really crowded
Because
and
it's
like there's so much
overwhelming.
competitive.
It's overwhelming, but find like if you just wanna find your people, go find your
Yeah.
people.
I love that.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to ask you, Sunira, you have built a $1 billion company. You're on your way to doing it again. If somebody wanted to take one action this week to build $1 billion company, what is
Mhm.
the next thing they should do in their business?
That's a really good question. I always say that there is no such thing as $1 billion idea, only $1 billion execution.
Mm.
Get out of your head. Like, take the action. So, whatever the action is, I mean, the number one thing you can do is go get customers. So, I don't care how pretty your website is. I don't care how nice your brand is, your packaging is, your social media is, like, whatever the works are, nothing is more important than revenue for your company. So go take the action for execution against revenue, whatever that is. Like you have to be relentless in sales and getting your customers. None of like all of the rest of it does not matter. Sales execution matters. Like I sold a product before it like we're selling products before they're even built. Like my CRO, he always goes, it's like telling a lie, like telling the truth in advance is what he calls them, like, because he will be on demos, I'm like, "That doesn't exist," like, and we're in fintech, and we're talking to, like, really large banks, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is Capital One,"
But
like
it will
yeah, and
exist.
he's so confident in it, and
Yeah.
I think because I've been around the boys club for so long, it
Mm.
rubs off on me, and I love that, I'm like, I think that they're wonderful in so many ways, I'm just trying to bring that to the girls club too,
Yes.
but I do think it's important, like, they just tell the truth in advance,
Yeah.
and, like, get like, because we're confident in delivering because we know we'll execute,
Hmm.
but sales is your number one, like, most important thing, revenue is so important, cash flow is more important than your mother, like, the most important thing in a business, and we need to get that right as women, like, we have to go for it first, go get the sale.
Can you share a resource recommendation, something that's been helping you as you've been up leveling as a founder?
Yeah, I'm always, like, loving, like, all like, I'm a big, growth person, and it's always kinda changing. I love to read still, I'm, like, really old school, and so I love to read. I read about 2 books a month, and I'm trying the fiction, I'm trying to, like, relax my brain, but I'm such a growth mindset person. I listen to really great podcasts as well. So, like, find nuggets that you can take from other people, and then, like, apply it, right? So, like, you hear the nugget, like, you heard some really cool nuggets, like, go apply
Go do
it,
it.
go do
Yeah.
it, and if you want more of it, you can listen to the CEO School podcast and,
Amazing.
like, tune in there too.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, I'm
Your
so happy.
story is so inspiring.
Thank you, and I'm so glad that it is inspiring, but I want her to, like, take action, like, whatever that is, and
Yeah.
I don't want it to be too inspiring, like, I shared it on stage, like, you don't have to have a $1 billion exit, but I want you to have the biggest, best outcome for you,
Mhm.
and I think it's really important for like, I want people to know that I did all the things, but I'm also a mom, and I'm also a wife, and I'm a daughter, and I think that those titles for me are just as important as being CEO, and you can have it all. Like, you can do all of those things.
Thank you so much for coming on the show,
Thank
Sinira.
you, Jasmine.
I just wanted to jump in and end the show with a quick thank you and shout out to all of our paid Business Bestie subscribers. business besties bypass literally years of networking by getting access to all of the people that you need to build your dream business. You also get invited to exclusive monthly group business coaching call sessions where you can speak to experts and founders and ask them all of those questions that you just can't Google. You can cancel anytime. Head to bestie.femalefounderworld.com or click the link in the show notes for more.